is that boutique name brand. And the quality is the best. I really feel over all the competitors. I know you feel different, Reese, but it's proven. It's proven. We don't have those situations where things aren't deploying. You know what I mean? The shots fired. But it is what it is. You know, it is what it is. But seriously, I think the brand is just something I've been in love with since I got introduced to motorcycles. And most importantly, Valentino Rossi, which we will talk about that VR46 family soon, baby. I can't wait to get into it, boy. It's gonna be it. But
Um,
you know, as the ambassador and stuff, it's been really cool. Traveling, meeting new people, meeting the motorcycle culture, differentiating how it is here in New York to on our West Coast, California, on the East Coast, even
right.
at Atlanta, at a place like Atlanta. We have a lot of things in common, but we also have a different appreciation because of the time they're allowed to do ride and do what we love as opposed to how many months we have here to do the same thing.
Right. Um, which is pretty dope. If you're in Florida or on the West Coast, and I mean, I checked the weather
Yeah,
in Boston. Boston's like 29 degrees, bro. I'm gonna be up there next week, and I'm already, looking like packing like a Jamaican, just coming off, leaving Jamaica for the first time, going going that way. So, but let's get into why we're here, man. MotoGP, Moto 2. I don't even know where to start. In all honesty, but let's get right into. I we were talking off camera or off on live and we were talking about the business side and the fan side. So I'm gonna throw this out to Lewis, and let's get into some of the nitty gritty of we think as a fan that Mark Marquez is awful and Jorge Martin should be on the factory seat. And you have something to say about that and to set us in place. But I'm from Boston, so I'm diehard, and Nick's up in NY for track stars. So please tell us why we should appreciate Mark Marquez for signing with Ducati.
Hey,
it's
Louis,
it's
you
I
got
mean
you got that.
it's not appreciate Mark Marquez. It's the understanding that fans are fans. Fans will always root for their guy or root against their enemy, regardless of the situation. But there's an economics to racing that fans sometimes don't like to take into account, and it's a real economics. You can't pass over an 8-time world champion that's going to come to the show with a Brinks truck full of money, or Jorge Martin, who is really only been in GP for a few years. Last year he was competitive, but he didn't win. This year it looks like he's going to win, but do I want to bring a Jorge Martin that's only going to bring this much money to my team, or do I want to bring a Mark Marquez that has 8-time world champion, a Red Bull athlete, gets mad support. He's
Oh my
also a
god.
Audi brand
Oh my god.
ambassador, and Audi is part of the Moto Group that owns Ducati, while
Some
Jorge Martin is still driving around in a Toyota Corolla. Like, there's economics and business behind the scenes that people don't like to take account to. And it's true. Mark Marquez is already in with the people that have the money behind Ducati.
Right.
So if Audi tells Ducati, hey, this is the guy we want, and he's going to come with this much money, he's going to come with this much cachet, guess who's going to get the ride? It ain't going to be Jorge Martin.
no.
Right.
The only, and Jorge Martin right now, great rider and everything else, but he's not an 8-time world champ. You know,
Right.
he's not going to bring the people. Even when people hate you, they still talk about you. So all
Right.
the Marquez haters are just feeding the Marquez fuel.
Right.
I don't know
And
who said it, but I'd rather be hated than loved by more people, hated by more people than loved by a few people. because at least more people are going to talk about me.
You know, Lewis, you got
Right.
Oh
And
God.
I agree. I
Oh
agree with
God.
that.
you know you're
Whoever said that, oh God.
you're crushing people's dream with that one, man. So what you're saying is the people above the Ducati folks said, "Hey, Marquez is coming on board," and they feel that what they're going to make in dividends and whatever is worth what the culture want. That's just a yes or no.
Right.
It's a yes.
Okay. Now
Yeah.
Ah,
I'm gonna before hang on, track stars. So I know you want to jump in and please hold your thoughts until the end. But Reese,
I am. I am.
you
I
you
promise. I am.
you're in the trenches with the riders. Obviously, you're on the business side, so I don't know if you can speak on the balance between what you have to do for the riders and what you have to do for the team. Um, is is that always important for the rider? Is that always important business over like what the culture, what the fans want? Is that because Allen Iverson would disagree. So
Uh, I mean, I would say yes.
okay,
I mean, what Lewis is stating is 100% correct. I mean, you got to think about this. I mean, like he said, it's a fans and it's a business side. And in the business side, you know, fans aren't paying the bills. The corporation is paying that bill. We want to. I mean, we all want to. We hear the fans. Don't a lot of the like when you're in the truck and you're talking to the crew and you're talking to the crew chief, the managers, and everything. We hear it all, fans. You hear all the like they want this, we want that. We would love to give it to you, but the problem is, like he says, Marquez is bringing. He's bringing a brink truck. It's a brink truck he's bringing. He's not bringing, you know, this little pickup truck and say, "Here's some money." No, he's bringing a brink truck. He's bringing a flatbed truck full of money. He's like, "Here you go." So in that case, they're going to take that over, the small guy, and then it's another state where you have to be proven. Marquez is proven to win. He's proven to take his talent to another level. Where you're on I'm not going to say too far of a subpar team with the satellite team he's on, but I mean, look what he has accomplished on that team.
right.
Look where he's been. He's come from the back and come to the front, and he's up there with those guys. I mean, track stars can say whatever you want to say, but it's a fact. I mean, you're you're
Oh
you're up
God.
there. They're up there. He's going to take, and now you give him a factory bike with all the top prototypes and everything, the top notch machinery. That's putting another level on there, and you're bringing a Brinks full of money.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to go this side on the business
All
side.
right. Track stars, I'm gonna give you an assist to this layup. Um, Michael Jordan went to the Wizards. He averaged crazy numbers as an old dude, right? Probably brought a lot of money to the Wizards as an old dude. But we see Kwame Brown, we see Arenas and other young players talk about how he also got in the way. So track stars, I mean, is Mark Marquez being a Michael Jordan of the Wizards, or is he, bringing the money like Lewis Hamilton to Formula One? Go ahead, and obviously you can
Listen, man.
talk about.
Listen, man. Yeah, and I'm the I'm the biggest Michael Jordan fan. Michael Jordan can never get in the way, but Mark Marquez is no Michael Jordan, people.
Okay,
Let me tell you right now.
okay,
Let me tell you right now. Um, I am a fan. I'm not in the business side like these two gentlemen claim they are, because it's a claim. It's a claim. These guys are huge fans, let me tell you, of the sport, but they're so involved on the business side that they've lost touch. They've lost the connection, people, to the matrix. You know what I'm saying? They're gone right now. But we're gonna bring them back through this show. I believe that we could bring them back. Um, let me start off by saying that of course us as fans we recognize that, yeah, Marquez is a huge money factor for Ducati. I mean, how many people bought Hondas because Mark Marquez was on a Honda, and not to, I don't want to bash the Honda, but the Honda hasn't been good for quite some time. Let me tell you, people like Ashton Yates just finally got the good bike to win on,
I don't know if you watch
and what
FP1.
no, but you know what I'm saying. They put in the bike on the podium several times, and we got the other Honda champion in super stock. Was a Honda rider. Oh my God, I just blanked out on his name. Help me out, guys.
It's in
Who?
Motor America.
For one Honda
EP?
in super stock.
Oh,
Oh, Hayden Gillum?
yeah.
Hey, get him, yeah. So, so finally Honda has a right bike, and they'll sell some bikes, but they're not selling like Ducati. So imagine the numbers, how much they're gonna multiply. Now, when Marquez hops on an official factory bike, people already buying Ducatis because he was on Gresini. I mean, they switching up. But when my man Reese made a point about being proven. Man, nobody's proved themselves in the past 3 years like Jorge Martin has. When Marquez was committing suicide on that Honda, damn near killing himself every round for the last 2 years until he came to Gresini on a Ducati bike, and now we're just gonna hand him the throne. Come on, I think this is just irresponsible by Ducati to make this bring this drama inside a paddock where Reese has good experience of having two competitors getting on the same platform. Imagine. Come on, I'm gonna slow down because
Oh,
I know we're gonna touch other subjects.
Yeah,
Let
yeah,
me
yeah.
let me let the
but,
guys go.
can I piggyback off of what he's saying? Can I piggyback one time?
Go ahead, man.
Please don't Reese.
Okay.
Please don't
All
Reese.
right. All right. So you want me to burst your bubble, right? You say it's not. It's. I get what you're saying. You want the fans, whatever, everything. Now I'm gonna quote this from the Moto America side. You say it's not a business, right?
No,
Right?
I said it is a business, but
Oh,
we
okay, okay.
But
But think about this: what happened over on HSBK? Think about what happened on the Ducati side on Moto America. Should we go? Should we go into that? There's so much you could say, but you had a champion on a super sport champion is that was supposed to go up into the superbike
mm-hmm.
championship, right?
Right.
But because somebody else steps in and says, "Hey, I'm going to give you this bag full of money. I want to ride."
Yep.
That guy got pushed out. Think about that. The guy that won the championship that should have been going up, he got pushed out because of a bag full of money.
I see what you're
that
saying.
that that's a
That's
great
a
A
example.
bag full of
that's a
money is
that's
going to
a
make the
business.
world go round.
So in the case,
That tells you right there it's a business.
right, but in the
That's a,
case
that's a
that,
great example.
but that's riders taking out other riders for buying the spot, right? I assume with the bag of
No,
money.
no, no. That's not taking out rider.
No, not in the
That's
sense
not
of.
taking out rider. That's the company.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Um, but so
The company said, "Yeah, we'll take you."
right, but so business, right? Without consumers, businesses don't run, right? I don't care who you are. If you don't have consumers, you're what Elon Musk is broke, right? So where does the where does the fans, where does the consumers, the people that digest this stuff, that subscribe, that buy the stuff and get the bike and pretend we are Rossi, Marquez or Martin or Pecco for the weekend. Where do they get a
But,
say in business? Because they
so
make
here's where they get a say. Every time
He's about to
you
tell you.
subscribe to a Moto America or to MotoGP or to any of these, you're buying the product. You're buying the overall product. I personally right now think that the MotoGP product is not that great a product because it's not the
What?
MotoGP championship, it's the Ducati championship.
Oh,
And next year
Right.
we're gonna find
sound
out
disgruntled.
exactly how good Jorge Martin actually is when he goes from the best bike in the paddock
Right.
to a shit
To the
box.
worst.
Marquez has been on a shit box and he was still competitive. He's down to kill himself to be competitive. And now he's on the second tier Ducati and he's the number one second tier Ducati rider. If you look at all the other Ducati riders that are in the championship with him on the 23 bike, he's the best one. And it's the first year that he's on that bike.
Hold on.
Right.
So you can't tell me that he doesn't have the talent of a Jorge Martin. Jorge Martin can't hold Marc Marquez's jock.
Hold up.
Echo Bagnaia, he folds like a cheap suit. My man has 7 DNFs
my
this year.
God.
He should
That
be
is
walking
so.
away with the
does.
championship, but my man cracks under pressure faster than an egg. All right?
Right.
And that's a fact.
And look what Martin said about Marquez. He was complaining about Marquez at certain points in times of the season. Why? Because Marquez is coming.
What?
He's coming.
Don't get delusional, Reese. We can't be number one. Lewis, you out of all people know that Marquez is not on a 23 bike. That is a 23 that has a number 2023 on it, but it's a freaking 2024 bike, baby. That thing got all the bells and whistles that they could hide without anybody knowing it's on there. When you see his bike compared to everybody else's, even on the straights, and I'm talking about the straights, that thing is pulling. And then we cannot say, we keep saying, Marquez wasn't a factor for 2 years. He really wasn't. We've seen some of the best product of MotoGP because Marquez wasn't competitive. And this year it became even more relevant because the skill set and that has grown in MotoGP where they're not even respecting his gangster. The same thing is happening to Marc Marquez that happened to Valentino Rossi.
Who's not respecting who's gangster?
Marquez is gangster. Marquez is gangster.
Okay, I'm not saying Marquez is not gangster.
Everybody feels that they're at a par level.
Bastianini, Martin, Pecco.
Bastianini.
But
our young bull,
Morbidelli.
Our young bull on gas guy.
But we're going to see, and this is what Lewis is saying. It's a Ducati show. It's all Ducati. But come 2020, but come 27, we're going to see what riders really got skills. Because it goes out of the bike's head. It goes into the rider's hands.
Reese, you forget the date when they was.
And to jump on what Reese just said, the next 2 years it's still going to be the Ducati Championship. Because there's not going to be any motorcycle development really for the next 2 years.
Yeah, there's a freeze.
All the manufacturers are trying to catch up with what the new motor development is going to be when the new motors come into play. Next year, they already know that they can only have so many motors, and they're not going to keep investing the money they've been investing. So realistically, the 24 bike is going to probably slightly improve to 25, and the 24 bike is already miles ahead of where Aprilia is and where KTM is and where Yamaha is. Yamaha, KTM, and Aprilia are not investing money to try to make a better bike in 25. They're trying to invest to make a better bike when the new regulations come in. So we still got another year, 2 years of Ducati dominance, but we're going to see exactly how good Martin is when he's not on the best bike on the grid.
Let me.
We already know what Marquez did on a bad bike.
Right.
So,
and he is on a 23 bike because the Grassini team and the VR46 team, they get allocated bikes based on the contract they have. So, Trackstars thinks he's a mechanic working in the pits. Believe me, that's a 23 bike. Is not the 24 bike. The 24 bike is made specifically to work with the tires this year.
Right.
And that's why that's the biggest controversy with Grassini. That's why Grassini is out of Ducati, because there was a big controversy with that, because it was how many of the new bikes are going to different teams, to the factory, the supported teams of Ducati, and pretty much Grassini is like, fuck you, I'm going to Yamaha. And then Yamaha has that new V4. Yeah, Pramac. Yeah. Or not Grassini, Pramac. Yeah. They're out.
Yeah.
They're going to the Yamaha and then with a V4 motor.
So
Then you just proved my point. He just proved my point himself.
hey,
What you think? Yo, what the problem is that Mark Marquez is not on a 2023, and Pramac is upset
Right.
about that. I'm telling you, that's what blew the whole thing up.
so is
You
it
you just proved my point without me even arguing.
does from listening to Lewis and Reese, is it Ducati's fault that they're making
Hey, Lewis.
a awesome bike that anybody can ride? Because I'll use basketball analogy. Like, are we mad at Steph for what he's done to the 3-point shot? You know what I'm saying? Are we
No.
when we talk about Steph shooting, you two guys, I'm not hearing the same love from what Ducati has done, because they were getting their ass kicked for years by Yamaha and
Yes.
Honda. I mean,
Right.
Casey Stoner is the only guy that was able to give him something until this point. So
They,
is it Ducati's fault for being the dominance they are?
No, absolutely not.
no,
It's not Ducati's
no.
fault because the Japanese manufacturers at some point folded shop. They decided we're not going to keep developing at this, we're not going to keep the arms race at this pace because, again, this is a business with a sport in front of it. The business side of it is super bikes are not selling. And in the
Right.
past, you would develop something in MotoGP that would eventually end up on the streets. Now, the only thing they're developing in MotoGP that's ending up on a street is ugly ass wings.
We
Right.
love
A
him.
lot of
Because
tech, lot of
guess what?
tech.
I have yet to see a seamless clutch. Honda,
Right.
Yamaha, Ducati, all of these people have had a seamless clutch in MotoGP for over a decade now. I've yet to see a street bike with a seamless clutch.
But
I've yet to see a street bike with a ride height device, with a launch device like the launch devices you. So it's become like Formula One, where it's just like bikes that are unobtainium. And this is not what the Japanese manufacturers want to do. The Japanese manufacturers are trying to build bikes to sell to the mass consumption. And the mass consumption around the world, and I look at things globally. In the US, we want 600s, we want 1000s, we want this. Outside of the US, which is actually not a gigantic market, it's a gigantic market in dollars, but it's not a gigantic market in volume. In
Lewis,
Mexico
Right.
last year, they sold 2 million motorcycles.
Lewis.
2 million in 1 year.
Ferrari,
Okay?
Ferrari,
Now,
Ferrari said, I sell cars to race on Sunday. Maserati and these guys race on Sunday so they can sell cars on Monday. So some people just are in love with racing.
no, and I don't, hey, I give you a credit for that. Ducati's doing a great job. They're taking advantage of this gap that the Asian manufacturers have actually made. BMW's done the same thing. BMW and Ducati, the European manufacturers, have stepped up when all the Asian manufacturers have stepped down. So they've increased their development rate, and the way that they do it is real unique. They have all their manufacturing and all their development done in Italy and in Europe, whereas the Asian manufacturers used to have to go all the way back to Asia, get something developed, bring it back to Europe. Now some of the Asian manufacturers are doing that in-house European development to try to get the bikes back up to speed. So right now, yeah, it's a Ducati championship, not just in MotoGP, but here in Moto America. They changed the rules to put the R6 to race against what technically 10 years ago was a Ducati Superbike. And
Right.
the R6 still kicked its ass this year, which I'm actually happy
God.
about.
Oh, God.
Scholes had to
One rider.
drive the wheels off that fucking thing, but he did. He was able to win the championship.
Hey, Lewis,
They
you're
wouldn't have
welcome.
they wouldn't have
We built that bike.
BHSBK, baby. They wouldn't have
Thank you.
BHSBK, baby.
Hey,
But you can't blame
we built that
Ducati.
bike.
Yeah, you can't blame Ducati for doing what they're doing because they're doing the right thing. They are doing that old adage: race and win on Sunday, sell on Monday.
Right.
And good for them. That's the Japanese manufacturers used to do that and they gave up.
All right.
Now to piggyback on Lewis,
Go ahead.
I can piggyback on that.
No.
Lewis is 100% correct. He is correct on where the Asians have lost and the Japanese they kind of lost their way. And from what I've been told, it's like the Japanese have a it's like they have a saying, like if it ain't broke, don't fix it, and they're like stuck on their old ways. They don't want to. It's hard for them to change a little certain things. Now I do know from Yamaha, like Lewis says, like that super bikes don't sell. They don't really sell like that much anymore because one, the price tag, they haven't changed. I know here in America for the US, like the R1 A1 swears that the R1 is discontinued and is this and that. And I'm like, if you guys read, it says 25 and beyond. There's a reason why it's 25 and beyond because here in America, we sell the most of the R1 than any other
Country
market.
Yeah.
market. Okay.
No market, just a market. We sell the most. Why is that? Because we're Americans. And Americans here, we're power hungry. That's exactly what we are. We're power hungry.
So that
We want everything power. We don't want how many I used to work in the motorcycle dealership. You know how many kids come in for a brand new bike saying, I want a brand new bike, but they don't want to go to the six. Their friends talk them into 1,000. They want this. They like I'm like, you guys are nuts. You know, I'm like, you guys are nuts. You're gonna die. Everybody wants 1,000. They want us to get 1,000 cc. They want 1,000. So we sell the most. You know, so uh, it's like Lewis said, you don't see nothing new coming. It's
right.
like all the bikes now, all they've seen is like Yamaha. They put winglets on it for downforce. Oh, we're gonna do winglets. I'm like, oh, what are, there's no more development. They don't develop anything new anymore. And with the V2 that Ducati just came out, as you just saw, they had to drop down from their old superbike motor down to an 890 cc. You know, they had to bring that down
Right.
to come to. We were complaining about it to compete because they're like we're racing superbikes. You know, I thought we were racing super sport. You're racing a superbike versus super sport. So it's like they say, like a lot of people don't understand. Like it's, I tell everybody, eventually one day superbikes are going to disappear. They're going to disappear. And they're like, oh no, it's not. It's going to disappear. It may be a different superbike, like the Ducatis have, like the 1100s and everything else. It
Right.
may be like everyone has those one of those. But as far as like the superbikes, the 1000s, I tell everybody on the social media, it's gone.
Right.
Even the 600s are gone. 600s are gone.
Before we get into the
Oh, we
go ahead. Go ahead.
go ahead.
No, I was gonna say before we get into the MotoGP talk, um, and we're talking about how the different displacements on bike and stuff like that. Did Ducati play the industry? Because you look what the V2 is now at the new V2 coming out now, right? Everybody disbanded their 600s and did all these things, right? Now all of a sudden, Yamaha got their R9, and now Ducati got their new V2, which is pretty much the same horsepower as a R6 or a Gixxer 6, on the 600. Did they play the market these last couple of years?
No.
Uh,
The changes really have to do with emission standards and Euro
right.
homologation and things like that. Like in Europe, the homologation to get a bike approved to sell in Europe is becoming stricter and stricter. So all of these laws are kind of moving the direction of what we can and can't do with CCs, with displacement, with horsepower. All these different things are changing, and this is one of the reasons that we're seeing the disappearance of the 600. We're seeing the disappearance little by little, like some of the inline fours just don't do it anymore. The Suzuki 1000, that thing's going away soon also. That's going to be discontinued because the inline fours, these big motors, the exhaust emission standards, the noise standards, they're just becoming more and more difficult. So this is where you're going to start seeing more V2s, V4s, triples. Like the manufacturers are going to have to get real creative on how to make bikes that are still reliable, that still make usable horsepower. But the arms race of like the early 2000s, where everybody was trying to make a 220 horsepower bike,
Right.
inline four, cross plane crank, like it's kind of over, man.
Well, you
Um,
see it right now. Everyone's done it. Well, Suzuki has I believe it's called the R8, something like that.
yep.
Um, KTM has the 890. Ducati might as well call it that. It's a 800. You know, Panigale V2. Um, only Honda still has a 600. Uh, Yamaha has the R9. So the game definitely done changed, and I think it more so. I know Lewis says it has to do with the emissions and stuff. I'm sure that's playing a factor, but I think it's more the headache of racing. I think racing is really dictating what we get at on the streets now, because it's like I really feel like people love racing so much, and I'm not talking about us, the fans love racing so much. I think the manufacturers love competing against each other through racing, that they're saying, listen, if they're not buying it, let's just adapt to what we're doing and see if it sells back to them in another shape or form. Instead of doing business through the consumer, they're doing business through them, selling it then to us. But they're doing what they want to do right now. Um, but I think at the same time, as the consumer, we're gonna buy the fucking V2. We're gonna buy it. We're gonna buy it. It's depowered. They're gonna buy the R9, and the test was that with the MTO10 and the MTO9. Like, them things sold, and they're gonna keep selling.
But everyone thinks that in the okay, so I'm gonna clear a little bit of air, a little bit as much as I can, to not spilling any guts or anything like that. Everyone swears that the
Spill the guts, man. Spill
MTO9
the
and the
guts.
R9 are the. I'm not trying to get. I got an NDA clause. I got to
Don't get
keep
fired.
certain things exactly.
Tom's
But
listening, man. Tom H is listening.
yeah, right. But there's the R9 and the MTO9. It's yes, you have the same part, which is the motor, right? And I've seen it so many times, and I know Lewis is probably going to agree with certain things. It's everyone swears that the MTO9 is the same exact bike as the R9. I'm like, you guys are wrong, because the ECU was completely changed to
No,
compete
that's a fact.
with the high revs, and everything else. And the frame is the whole chassis, the whole frame of it is completely different. It's
Yes.
a completely redesigned bike. It's pretty much made to mimic, or sort of be, where this R6 was. It's not a replacement for your R6, because you can't replace something that was dominant for that long. You can't replace something.
Yeah.
There's nothing you can replace. This is something new, what we call the new gen. This is what they're calling it, the new gen. We have to update and compete. Everyone's like, oh, it's slow. It's what's 117 horse, right? I'm looking at it like, okay, so you're complaining about the horsepower, but look at the torque. The torque is what, 78 pounds or foot-pounds of torque, right? And
Yep.
40 something pounds of torque on the R6. I'm like, you know how much power and how much work you had to do to the R6 to get the power out of it to come out of a hole? It was like a turtle versus a hare. That was exactly what you're looking at. We were so dead slow coming out of the hole, because Schultz had to stay open the whole entire time. If you look at data and everything else, he has to stay open to keep the power up. Because if anybody knows about an R6, what a lot of street guys don't know, and I saw it, I'm like, if you drop down past so many RPMs, you have no power. There's nothing coming out of that bike.
Boy.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, the way that you
building this
ride an
R9,
R6. Yeah, the way you ride an R6, I mean, you had to beat it like a redheaded stepchild. Because once it went into
right?
like the single digit
Yeah.
thousand, like 9,000 RPM or below, it had nothing. You had to ring
It
it,
had
because it
nothing.
also had a very high RPM. And one of our riders, one of the Dainese riders, is actually testing the R9 now, Stefano Manzi. And the feedback that he's giving is, you got to actually learn how to ride this bike differently than the R6 because of this extra torque. The motors are still going to be expensive to build, because, I mean, Reese can tell you, an R6 motor, to build a competitive R6 motor, you're talking about 25 grand a motor. And you're going to rebuild that motor What do you think? Like 5 or 6 times throughout the season, at least?
I think we rebuild that at least like 6, 7 times for that motor. Because you're only going at 1,000 kilometers. So
Yeah. So you're going to start the season with $50,000 invested in just 2 motors, and then you're going to invest another, I don't know, 20 grand in rebuilding those 2 motors throughout the season itself. So before you even turn one wheel and put gas in a tank, you're 80 grand in the hole just in motors and rebuilds.
Wow.
So bringing an MT09 motor, now you can sell the same motor in 2 different platforms with slightly different variations, but the power plant itself is the same. So now I don't have to develop a whole new motor and reinvest. It costs millions of dollars to develop a motor. So if you have a motor that works and you can use it across different platforms, and this is what auto manufacturers do. The same motor that you find in a G35, you'll find in a Nissan Altima, you'll find in a Nissan Rogue, so the motorcycle manufacturers need to do the same thing. They need to get one power plant that's super reliable and make it work in a bunch of different ways. And all the people that when they saw the specs of the R9 and were like, oh, it's got the same horsepower, but it's got more CCs. They're not looking at the torque and they're not realizing this isn't an MT09 with bodywork on it. This is an actual race bike that has an MT09 motor, but specifically designed for what it needs to do in that chassis, which is race.
That's a fact.
Right.
So you're going to see a still competitive bike. The R9 is not going to be at the back of the pack. It's going to be at the front of the pack. It's going to compete with all the bikes at the front of the pack because Yamaha hasn't forgot how to make a competitive chassis.
All right. I was
correct, and he's 100%. He's 100% correct.
I'll say this: you two need to go on vacation and go to the beach for a little bit, and then come back to motorcycles as fans, because I know it makes sense on paper, and I know it makes sense from business, but as fans, it's hard for us to let go of I got an R6, and I know, Louis, you got an R6. I don't know about you, Reese. And it's like, I'm hearing you saying 50 grand for a built motor, and I'm sitting here moaning about rebuilding the 5 grand built on a motor for my bike. So I realize we're on different playing fields, but from a fan perspective, man, we like what we like, and we don't like changes, and everything you guys are saying makes complete sense from a racing perspective, from a growth perspective, but from a fan perspective, and what the R6 has meant to people, what the R1 has meant to people. I think people always have a fear of letting go. And I think a lot of the complaints is just really what the memories they have, like, the music of our young kind of thing when we hear it.
I mean, if there should be one complaint, the complaint should be how much a motorcycle costs now. Because the price of a new motorcycle is fucking ridiculous. Like, you're buying a motorcycle in some cases for more than a car. And a motorcycle, I mean, here, especially in the US, this is a luxury item. It's not a necessity. It's kind of a want, not a need. And if you're paying $30,000-$40,000 for a motorcycle, like that's insane, you know.
Right.
And the prices aren't going down if these manufacturers don't figure out how to make motorcycles that can work across multiple platforms. And they can't keep this arms race up, At a certain point, the consumer is going to say, enough's enough. I'm not going to spend $30,000 on the new Ducati or $40,000 on the new this or the new that.
Right. Yeah. No, I think you're absolutely right about that. But let's get into MotoGP and who's going to win? Who's going to win?
Not Pecco.
That's it, huh? Not Pecco.
Not Pecco.
Bezecchi's up there. As Trackstars has said, it's possible he could be a spoiler. Pecco's doing everything he can do by finishing in first place so far in the test and stuff like that. You guys have watched. And Reese, I don't know how much of this you've caught, but we're jumping into MotoGP, and as far as does Pecco apparently, from what Lewis is saying, doesn't have a chance. But how can Pecco have a chance finish this weekend outside of having the VR46 Academy kidnapping Martine? Is there a road for Pecco to come back? And if he doesn't come back, is it any mark on him because he's won back to back? He no three-peat, but back to back. So at the end of the day, is he really just enjoying himself because it really doesn't matter who could be mad at him, or is it such a big deal for him versus Martine?
I mean, the only way me personally, the only way Pekka's going to win is hell freezes over and he prays every night, all day. It's just about it. I mean, because if Martine is smart, and this is just me coming from the inside, I don't have to compete with you. I don't have to compete with Pekka. All I got to do is stay upright, and I win. That's it. All I got to do is stay upright and gain the maximum points. That's it.
But
If you go out in front of me, bye. That's it. I don't have to compete. There's no reason for me to compete.
I think that I think I don't know if you guys been watching, but I've been talking about this the whole time. Certain riders have to pull up in front of Martin to create the gap Bagnaia needs in order to get this championship, and people have stepped up. If we notice right now, and I know this doesn't count, it's nothing set in stone. This is practice. Even Martin, I know he was half-assing it. He rode even on the hard tire. He went out on the hard tire for a couple laps during qualifying because he knew he would during practice, because he knew, like, I have to test everything out. I have to figure out what we're gonna use. But when you see Bezecchi in second, that's a big name because that's a VR46 rider. But who's in third right now currently is Alicia Spargo, a Spaniard.
I saw that
So
too.
people are already setting that up because they know we have to be in place to help the rider that's gonna need us at a certain point. But now, is this a realistic setup where we have two Italians and basically two Spaniards? Because the one between them right now is Zarco. But Zarco, I would consider as an enemy because he was the old Pramac rider, and he could be a factor against Martin to win this. And this is all drama and storylines, but this is real. I think these are the things that's gonna play out this weekend and gonna determine exactly if Martin really does have this in the bag like we all think he does. I think it's still a
Now
question.
let me ask you a question. I'm gonna ask this question. Do you really think any of those writers give a damn about helping Pekka out?
My man,
At least four, three,
my man,
four.
what? This is it. This is straight. Yo, the VR46 in the best way is a mafia. This is in the best way. Like, this is really La Familia. Like, they really about that. They really brothers. They really together. Like, this camp, they're really training, and they want each one of them to always be in the
When these
competition
guys are
for the
done
front.
talking this nonsense, I'll jump in with
Oh, go
like
ahead, baby.
actual facts, man.
Talk
Just,
about
Who?
it.
just
Talk
raise your
about
Me?
hand.
it.
Let me know when I can talk.
Please do.
Me
Please
talking
do.
nonsense? There's not nonsense. I'm looking like, listen, it's just, come on, man. You could
Go ahead, Louis.
if
Are you
I want
telling
to hear
people
Lewis
there's
because
no
I know I'm
Santa
not talking
Claus?
Me
nonsense.
too.
There ain't no Santa Claus. I want to hear what Lewis got to say because I
So
think
here's
if
the
I'm
deal
thinking,
that Trackstars doesn't understand. La Familia. He thinks this is Fast and the Furious, man. This isn't Fast and the Furious. There's no family here.
it's
That
about money.
when you're racing for yourself and you're racing for your team. The difference between
That's
winning
it.
a race and coming in fourth place, the money that you get plus your team gets, which you share with your mechanics, is massive. Why in
Right.
the F would I let this man beat me if I can beat him? Because I'm giving money away.
Exactly.
We seen
I'm
it
giving
before,
money away,
Louis.
not just for myself, but for my team, for my mechanics, for everybody that works in my garage gets a cut
Yo.
of what I win.
Right.
You're gonna
So
tell
when
me they don't
everybody's
cut the
saying,
check regardless?
you know, they should let
Heck
Pecco
no,
win.
we don't get a
Fuck
check.
that.
I didn't get a
Pecco's not
check
giving
this
me a
year.
check for $50,000 at the end of the day.
Fuck no. Fuck
Pecco,
Pecker.
did you cash that check this morning? Because if you cash that check, I'll absolutely help you. But I'm not helping you any other way because we're talking about money here. We're talking about how I feed my family, how my mechanics feed their family, like how the team wins. There's sponsorship involved. There's contingency. Like there's so much money involved that this La Familia is bullshit. Everybody out there is out there for themselves. Now, the only time
Let me
that
ask you
changes
something. Let me
is
ask
when the
you something.
manufacturer turns around and tells the B rider, you got to help the A rider. Because guess what? If the B rider doesn't help the A rider, that B rider ain't going to be with that team next year. They're going to find a new B rider.
A little bit La Familia.
Let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a question.
That's a little bit, but that's a factory thing. And trust me, when the factory tells you the B rider have to help the A rider, the factory has something on the back end that they're gonna reward you with.
Exactly. The,
So,
the
Like it's
check
not
gets
just gonna be
passed. You
help
just
the B
said it
rider for the
yourself.
sake of helping the B rider.
so did Lorenzo get some money against the Vizioso?
Yeah, they got the money, man. Yeah, they got the money.
I don't know if he
Louis
did or
Rose,
didn't,
they
but
cut the check.
Lorenzo,
Like when
he got
Lewis
a
is
1-year
saying,
contract, so he was out for himself from the
Yo,
time
Rex,
the
he just
door
blew
was
himself
dropped.
up.
Like he knew he wasn't gonna get
no, he
back on the
didn't.
Ducati bike, so he was like, "Yo, I'm just gonna win for myself and make some money."
Yo, Reese, he just
Like
said
what
it
Lewis is
himself
saying.
right now.
But what he's saying is if I'm on your team track star, yeah, I'm going to help. But if I'm not on your team, and guess what? I'm coming for your throat. I don't care about you because you're not
My
paying my bill.
my man, we've seen it too many times. We've seen it too many times. Where I wish MotoGP really needs to get that from F. We want to hear what the box is saying. We want to hear it. We want to hear it.
Listen,
Fall
I'm gonna
back,
tell you
fall
straight up.
back, fall back.
Listen,
I want to hear
listen,
it.
track
You
star.
know why? Because I know it happens. Ducati, the factory team. Yo, they're the ones who hand out everything. Everything goes out from them to eight other bikes, including his teammate.
There's
Yo,
only a couple of Ducati. There's only a couple of Ducatis that can be up there with those two. And then
yo,
technically, there's only one, and his name is a 93. That's it.
I promise you, next season you don't play your role. Oh, your parts is delayed. We seen it happen. We
Li-
seen it happen to Lorenzo. Oh, unfortunately,
Listen,
we
but
cannot
listen,
get that.
listen.
We cannot get that seat that you need. A seat? You
Well,
can't get the seat. Yo, we seen this.
Basek,
We seen this happen
but look,
before.
Basecki don't care. Basecki's going to another team, right? Basecki's going to another team.
Yes.
Alexis Fargo's going. Okay, Alexis Fargo's going home. He's going to be a test rider. He's going with his twins. What does he care about, right?
Yo,
Who else? Who else?
the whole the
Only
whole
person
the
that
whole squad is the whole squad is getting switched out.
Right.
who
The whole
you going
squad is getting
you
moved
going
around this
you
season.
going to tell me Morbidelli? You going to tell me? But I'm just saying,
So
you going to tell me Morbidelli going to go up there and help? Morbidelli can't even help himself to get up to the top 10 sometimes.
so let me
What you talking about? Morbidelli been in the mix the whole time.
ask you guys this, right? So
Morbidelli smelled like my ass when I took a dump last night.
Oh my God.
Like
wow,
Oh, you
Morbidelli,
are good.
Morbidelli belly.
he's the
But
one. Morbidelli is wasting a seat.
no, he's not. No, he's
He
not.
need to
Oh, you
go
No, he's
be a
not.
wildin'.
test
No,
rider.
he's not. But let me
You
ask you guys.
wildin'.
Let me ask you guys this. Everything you guys just said, like the last 2 minutes, is Mark Marquez worth all this?
Yes, absolutely. Mark Marquez is
Yes,
still bringing all the
yes.
money.
Yo,
He's
Because
bringing that
Mark
cash in.
Marquez as
because
a
I think
talent,
he dropped a grenade and all this, right?
yeah, but that's let's be honest. If he didn't drop the grenade, how fun would this season be? Like you need a grenade every once in a while to
no,
actually keep the excitement going.
Keep
Wait,
it.
You
are
need
you
Yes.
it,
that
are you talking
unknown, that intangible.
as a
that's
fan,
the
as a
That's
problem.
just
Like
like that's just
Louis,
as a
yeah.
fan
As
or
a
a business
fan,
or
yeah, as a
business
fan. No,
business
no, no,
guy?
no.
Which
As
one?
a fan, as a fan, you need, it's just like Tony
Oh
Montana
God.
said, man, you need that bad guy. You need the guy to point your finger, go, that's the bad guy. And if he's the bad guy,
And
then he's the
we
bad
got
guy.
track
But
stars.
think of it this way: Pecco has no friends on the grid because Pecco has
No.
shit on everybody at some point this year. He's taken out other people.
Right.
He's blamed other people. Everything, Pecco the princess, everything that goes wrong is somebody else's
Wow.
fault.
Princess.
Wow.
Oh,
He
why
had.
didn't they let me go? I'm Pecco Bagnaia. I was
Wow.
coming through. They should
Why
just
he blame?
move to the side and let
Why
me
he
come
blame? Why
Drop
he
through.
bombs
blame
on
Alex
the
He's got no
Marquez?
friends on the grid. And
Alex Marquez is
Martin,
wrong.
He blamed Marquez.
Martin
is wrong.
burned his own bridge with his complaining to Ducati. Like, I honestly believe Martin could have got the Ducati seat if he didn't go and try to negotiate in the media for the seat. Because once you start
Ding.
negotiating in the media for the seat, you put yourself in a bad position.
Marquez did too, though.
I said that.
Ducati,
Marquez did it.
but
I ain't going to
But-
Pramac.
no, but that's fine. But he could have gone to another team. Martin, on the other hand, kept saying, look at Ducati, look what I've done, look at this. I should be the one. Like, he was pushing specifically. The way Marquez was run, he's like, hey, I'm going to be on a factory team next year. I don't know what team it's going to be. I'd like it to be the Ducati team. But if it's not, I'm a gun for hire. I'll go anywhere. Whereas Martin,
Right.
like, was trying to put that pressure on Ducati. And that's not the way
You
you get a
singled out a
ride.
team.
That's the way you get yourself
You
out
singled
of the
out.
ride.
But
That was the ride.
So as far as this weekend, I think is going to be a long weekend for Pecco. His only chance is if Martin eats it on the sprint race. But this year, Pecco's hit the ground more than Martin in sprint races, and Martin's finished more races when it counts on Sunday. So
Yep.
And
it's going to be a long weekend for Pecco.
And I'll say this: Martin did also treat KTM wrong because he broke his contract by signing to Ducati in GP versus going to KTM.
Yep. So that's one less team that's going to want him at some point.
So, and they,
Well,
they,
Martin,
they do hold a grudge.
Marquez is at the door anyway. He retiring. He got one summer left, baby.
So what does Martin have to do? Just essentially just stay upright, finish in top 5.
He has to finish behind. He has to
He's got to
finish.
finish tomorrow. He just got to finish, and as long as he finishes tomorrow, even if he gets 1 point, he just needs to finish in the top 10 on Sunday. Even if Pecco wins,
that's it.
So all the pressure's on Pecco. Martin just has to go out there and ride a track day and not crash.
Right. So
Right.
I thought it was
That's
different.
what I said. He's just gonna stay up.
I thought Martin has to finish one place behind Pecco. If Pecco finishes first, he has to finish second or third at minimum.
So
And he gets the championship.
now,
From the sprint race we talking about.
now I'll ask Reese this because he's been on championship teams with Yamaha. What's the box like? What's the condition like when you're close to winning championship? Are you guys cracking jokes? Are you pins and needles? What's that like?
Both. Both. Yeah, you're cracking jokes to kind of break the tension up, but behind it's like you wear a mask. Behind the mask, it's like there's a lot of tension. You're like, damn, you just please keep it all right. I mean, we all know it's like once we can only do so much as a crew guy. I can only do so much. I give you the tools. We give you this. It's your job to go put the do what you do. All we can do is sit back and hope and pray. Sit back and hope. That's all we can do. Keep your fingers crossed and just hope for the best. I mean, if your guy can do it, we can do it. But it comes down sometimes a mechanical failure, another rider taking you out, and as you all know, the worst, scariest part of any race is the start. Everybody plowing into turn one, and who's going to take who out. So, and that comes down to it. So. But it's all tension and it's all. And let's crack a joke here just to kind of take my mindset away from this.
And Lewis, do from a brand perspective, Do these championships, when it comes down to this, I mean, I think Jorge and in this case, Jorge and Pecco, they're both on Dainese. I mean, they're both on Alpine Star. Do championships matter in the grand scheme of how you guys look at things? Or, you know, if a rider finishes in the top 5, 10, you know, it's all good, or, you know, championships or bust?
I mean, for us, since we have so many riders across so many classes, it's hard to say that. I mean, obviously, we would like one of our riders to win a championship because it's kind of they're set in stone in history.
Right.
And in history, anytime the 2024 image of whoever wins comes up, it's going to be them in their gear. And if it's our gear, then yeah, obviously we want to see that. As a manufacturer, the biggest pressure that we have, especially in this case, let's say we had two riders that were both fighting for the championship, and it came down to the last race, we would have two suits made for them because they now the thing is that they change out of suits, which is funny because it kind of started a few years back with Pecco Bagnaia when he was in Moto 2 with Dainese.
Yeah.
We actually made a suit for him that was black and gold. He stopped on the track, he changed into the suit, and now that's kind of become a common thing where, you know, our riders will change into a gold suit because we only make gold for guys that win championships. So if these were our two guys, we would have a Pecco Bagnaia gold suit and a Martin gold suit, and whoever won would get their gold suit, and whoever didn't win, that gold suit would go back to our factory, and you would never see it in public. Like, we wouldn't give it to the rider because technically you didn't win the championship.
Right,
you know,
right.
we only give gold suits to champions. It's a cool little thing about
Top right.
Dainese is you can only get gold if you can win a championship.
Cold as ice, man. You guys are cold,
Cold
as
as
ice.
ice, man.
Um,
It looks good though.
it does.
It looked good on Top Rack this year.
You know,
It does.
let's talk about these guys that are leaving MotoGP this year. Taka Nakagami, he had his best finish. Well, not finish, but it practice 1, practice 2 in a long time. We got Aleix retiring. Do you think he like, I don't know, should more have been done for his farewell tour or a farewell tour? Because it just kind of like, you know, he's like a stepchild, I feel like. And then, you know, Augusto Fernandez going to Yamaha, he got into a little bit of fisticuffs, not literally, but bike on bike with his teammate. Oh, I ain't see you, but, you know, it's what it is. It's always, I've never been in MotoGP or anything where I'm like, you know, leaving from something where I can sit here and go like, be nostalgic about it, right? You know, this is the premier class is what it is, right? It's almost like, you know, presidents in the United States has only been 46 in over 200 years. MotoGP riders, you know, NFL players, NBA players, it's just a few chosen. Did MotoGP miss the boat not doing more for Aleix? And also, you know, from you guys, from a business perspective, and Track Stars from a fan perspective, is MotoGP spitting out riders too soon?
Well, I'll start with this one. So as far as Aleix Espargaro, I don't think MotoGP missed the boat because he's never won a championship. Like, he's been a consistent rider. He's been in the class. Like, he's actually the veteran of the class. He's been in the class longer than anybody. Now, when he's gone, I think Marquez is going to be the new veteran rider. And even though he's been there a long time, like, he's never won a championship. He's never really competed at a high level. He's won a few races here and there. I think this is more for his family and his friends, and it's great that it finishes in Spain, you know, because he can be with his friends and family and everything else. But, you know, he's not a legacy rider that, you know, 10 years from now, people are going to be like, oh, man, I miss Aleix Espargaro complaining about somebody else crashed into him or something like that, you know? Like, on that side, you know, I don't think MotoGP missed the boat. I think they're doing the right thing. I'm sure they're going to have a great celebration for him on Sunday. They always do that. They always have a great celebration on Sunday, and they'll probably do like a pit lane run through. It'll probably be condensed because the championship will probably be going on also if it doesn't get settled on Saturday.
Right.
As far as like the riders moving around, I mean, that's just part of the game. I mean, even football players know and baseball players know on any day the GM can come up to you and be like, hey, I just traded you. And you could get traded to the best team in the league or the worst team in the league. And you're always ready to move because that's kind of like the game. I feel bad for a couple of guys that are staying where they're at because they're in not great situations. Johan Mir and Marini are still with Honda. Taka Nakagami should be counting his lucky stars. He doesn't have to ride that shit box anymore. I feel bad for whoever's taking his space. And then
Sandra.
yes, and I mean, hopefully he's got his medical bills paid because he's going to be in the dirt a lot with that bike. But everybody else that's moving around, I think they're moving to greener pastures or for better opportunity. Even Martin, I think where he's moving will continue to help him grow. He's going to struggle with the bike, but if he really is a talent, he's going to get the best out of that bike, and hopefully that team will keep investing. Bastianini also, he's going to go to a really good team. He's going to have a great opportunity. The young riders that are moving around, everybody has a good opportunity, but there's always going to be an A level and a B level.
Track stars, let's have you jump in. I believe Reese just fell off.
I think that I agree with Lewis in the sense that I don't think LA had done enough for uh MotoGP in the sense of actually winning. He's not a champion, and it would have been hard. His brother's gone too. So I think we're in a transitions phase of MotoGP where we have these riders. They might be young in age, but they're high in mileage. Remember what I was saying? Like I've said this a couple times on the show. Johan Zarco. He's not one of the oldest riders, but he got a lot of mileage. He's been in MotoGP a long time. The riders are getting younger and younger, moving up to MotoGP. So they're gonna retire at a lot younger ages. Um, are one of the people they love the most in MotoGP, Miller. He's young, but the dude got crazy mileage on him too. We're gonna start seeing them retire very soon, and we're gonna see these younger riders coming up, and that's what this is what MotoGP kind of doesn't want, and they try to hold on to these guys as long as they can. Rossi would have retired, I think, long time ago, but he knew he was the bloodline to MotoGP, and until somebody came like Marquez, he couldn't really step out. And his competitiveness, also thinking that he can beat Marquez, was what kept him in MotoGP even longer. Um, and we're seeing that happening right now to Marc Marquez. The same thing that happened to Rossi. Rossi went from Yamaha to Ducati, and here comes Marc Marquez from Honda to Ducati. Ducati is like the retirement pasture where you go out to die and finish your career, because that is the echelon bike. That is the king bike. That is the Nike of the industry. That's the Gucci. And that's where you want to go. You want to make it to the Yankees. You want to go play for the Yankees, because that's the prestige of the MLB. That's where you go.
Reese, I don't know how much you caught. The riders that are leaving MotoGP, do you feel well, I think track stars and Lewis has already talked about elation enough to say what he getting is enough. What do you think about Fernandez and who's the other Taka Nakagami leaving? Because Taka Nakagami probably could have gone to Honda, the World Superbike, instead of a test rider. Do you think that it's just a natural progression? If you don't produce, you don't stay in MotoGP.
Yeah, I mean, it's a progression. Like Lewis said, it's like football, basketball. I mean, coming from the basketball world as well. Your GM can walk up to you anytime and say, "Hey, man, we're going in a different direction.
Right.
This direction we want to go in. I'm as far as not in there for quite some time.
Sounds bad.
Like
Yeah,
the best time
yeah,
to
Reese. I think your connection has just gotten a little really bad. Yeah, it's just your connection got really horrible. So like I think you might be good.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah. Go ahead, man.
Well, I was just saying, like, this is, one of his best times that he's had, So, I mean, with them leaving, I mean, it's just time for, as we say, just some new blood. That's it. It's just time for some new young blood to come in to see what they can do and see if we can progress. I mean, maybe they can be the new face of the sport. It's time for a new face of the sport. I mean, we have over in Supercross, for Yamaha. I mean, we got a young kid named Deegan, and I mean, this kid is phenomenal. So it's just time for some new blood to come in, and the old guys to kind of, hey, you paved the way. Jordan paved the way for all the new guys to come in, and hey, somebody else has got to take this reign and say, yo, run with it. That's what it is. I mean, it's fine. I mean, hopefully they can bring the fan base.
Right.
Do you do that?
That's that's the next step.
Do you do that to Gagne?
Gagne's still winning.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying, right? Do you do that to Gagne? Gagne
Is
did it.
Takagami winning?
No. I'm not talking about Takagami. We talking about same as Marquez, right? Marquez has like 7 championships. He's going for his 8th.
8 championships. Well, maybe 9. Well,
I mean, 8 championships going for his 9th. Yeah, to Ty Rossi.
GP.
Do you tell him, yo, just step down? The truth is, Moto America probably had one of the craziest championships this year. Kanye was out. We had 3 real contenders for a championship this year.
Who?
Do you want Gagne to step down because he's won so much?
No, long as he's healthy, he's fine.
Well,
I mean,
that could be said about Penny
I mean,
Hardaway.
just in general. I mean, like I said, I mean, you guys
What you
won.
think, Louis?
We congratulate y'all on your win. We congratulate Ducati on their win. But like we say, the sun shines on the dog's ass every once in a while.
Oh, nah. Haven't been there for 3 years straight, my man. On your asses.
Who? Cameron?
Ducati's been there 3 years straight. 2 years with Heron on your asses.
I mean, Petrucci was in there 1 year, and he was the first year on tracks in the U.S.
Yeah, but Petrucci
came in 3rd in the championship.
There gotta be something for being like, it's my first time here. A little bit.
Ben Spies was on the track for the first year, and what happened?
I don't know.
It seems like it's Ducati and Yamaha, and I don't think we're gonna bend any much.
I have to go at him all the time. It's all right.
And Yamaha got more.
It's all love.
Yamaha got more titles. Honda got more titles. In for World Superbike, Kawasaki got more titles. I do feel, and I'm a new, and Reese, this is my first time talking to you. I've talked to Lewis and Track Stars a little bit, and I'm more familiar with them. But I started following racing in 2015 just to give a little background on myself. I do feel